As South Africa marks Women's Month, the plight of women and the abuse they suffer is being highlighted. Abuse in the workplace is one such area and many women don't speak out. But a group of women in the Eastern Cape are speaking out. They allege to have been sexually harassed by a senior manager on a pineapple farm in Bathurst. The women allege the man demanded sex from them in order for them to keep their jobs. Our reporter Jayed-Leigh Paulse filed this report.
Bathurst, a pineapple-growing mecca on the outskirts of Port Alfred. The community here is mainly reliant on the jobs the farms provide. But the sex for jobs allegations has hit the community hard.
Management. Then he promised umsebenzi. Then after that, when
you look for a job in the farm, the manager in charge of us workers will call you, but not to discuss work. He will call you so that you can meet at his house. When you get there, he closes the door and then he starts to touch your private parts. At work, I didn't feel comfortable because the manager always touched my private parts and he would lure me into quiet places and then touch me inappropriately. And because you are a worker, you are desperate and need the job, you end up doing what he wants you to do.
Sometimes we breadwinner, so we desperate.
A farm worker on the farm details how female workers would be employed by the alleged perpetrator.
Most yabantu abaphangela apha bangene ngayi ngokwalento ayenzayo apha kuthi.
Many people that are working on that farm got the jobs by sleeping with that man, or they would start work and then he would want sex in return for the favor he did. If you refuse to sleep with him, he will start to ostracize you in the workplace. If you are sick, he would not allow you to stay out of work.
The farm owner acted once the allegations surfaced.
18 months ago or thereabouts, there was never a complaint. I just heard rumors that this was happening. So I personally sat with every single staff member, every lady staff member. I personally sat with them privately and interviewed them. And as I've mentioned to you, about 4 of them. And I wrote down their experience. And yes, there was about 4 of them that said they'd been affected by this. And none of them actually ever complained, but they said to me at the time that it was a jobs for sex story. So we then called in the manager and he got issued with a final written warning. Since then, I've not heard a word, and none of the managers or the HR have heard a single word of anything. As far as we've been aware, the staff have been extremely happy and everything's running beautifully.
A labour law expert says that often cases are not dealt with decisively and that the perpetrator remains in his or her position.
If there is evidence to sustain that complaint, that triggers a duty on the part of the employer to take corrective action. Very frequently, and depending on the level of severity, that may involve disciplinary action. And if serious harassment is found to have occurred, it is fairly common, in fact it is almost the default position, that the sanction of dismissal will be imposed.
More women came forward once the SABC investigated the matter.
You write a complaint?
Yeah, you write and push it.
A grievance box and SMS line was put in place for workers' complaints. The SABC also interviewed the alleged perpetrator. He says the women have a personal vendetta against him as they were dismissed under his authority for insubordination.
This is a lie. I want to get to the bottom of these allegations leveled against me. I also want to know, what have I done towards these women? Like really?
Victimization in the workplace can include sexual harassment, unwelcome sexual advances, and requests for sexual favors. But the victims most often stay quiet out of fear.
Often fear is instilled in people, and in women in particular. So they'll be afraid to report if their livelihood depends on it. That's where the extreme vulnerability comes. And if they need their money to survive, everybody who works does, they need families, they have families to protect and so forth, then it makes it very difficult for them to actually report such cases. I think in cases like that, it's important for them to find an organization like ourselves, like Masitete, there are different organizations they can go to because those organizations can assist them. Often when women report sexual abuse in the workplace, there will be some kind of inquiry or some small kind of investigation, and often they are stigmatized for it and not the perpetrator.
The complainants say they will seek legal recourse. Jayed-Leigh Paulse, SABC News, Bathurst, in the Eastern Cape.